minutes.
What has you got an automatic notification from YouTube?
Because I made it public. Because of the issues with this new one. Right. Hello everyone. Apologies for the last minute link change. We'll give it another couple of minutes and wait and see if more people join us, and then we'll get started. Just bear with us for a couple of minutes. Got some Instagram messages. Great. Welcome to all those who joined us. We're just going to give it another minute or two to wait for some more people to join, and then we'll get started. So just bear with us another 1 or 2 minutes whilst a few more people join. Oranges of the screen. You can kind of get more about it. Keep the distance. 87, 90. Here we go.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Rafi Cohen, Mazkir. Thank you very, very much for joining us this evening. We just want to take the time to update you with kind of where we're up to now, with a little bit of what we the positive outcomes that we hope to have for the summer. So obviously, this isn't where any of us wanted to be. Everyone, we hope, was very much looking forward to Machaneh. I know that in the Bayat we certainly were. And so I guess the first thing to really start with is to thank you for your patience and for your understanding. We know that there's been kind of very little clarity through this whole thing, as much as we've tried to stay in touch. So thank you for bearing with us. We really, really do appreciate it, and all the support we've got along the way. And so thank you very much for that. Yeah, so obviously anything that we try to put into place, anything we plan, has to be with the understanding that things are subject to changes can change at any time, but that we'll do our best to update you. And so yes, we'll do our best to update you and to make sure that everyone is up to date as we go along. So the first thing says, obviously, the ideal form of Machaneh is as it would regularly be, that we would all be able to go away, those in the UK, to sites near each other, or at least residential in the UK, and 1 year group to Europe and 1 to South Africa. So obviously that lots of those things came down upon us early on, but there are. Did we talk about that? Yeah. So there's a small chance. We've been in touch with some of the sites that we are penciled in at, that we're booked in at, and they have had their government run or kind of council run sites, and their guidance is that they can open under certain conditions in the coming months. So that's a kind of small possibility that we're keeping in the back of our minds. And if it kind of becomes possible and feasible and workable, we'll find a way to go with that. One of the things built into that, obviously, is travel and transport, and each of these things, hopefully, we'll find a way to address and mention as we go along. But like I said, that's something that's kind of somewhere on the horizon, but we're parking for now, and that we are, whether we're going to go, or that the model that we've planned is, and that we're hoping to run with, I guess, more certainly, is a series of day trips and activities centered around London and Manchester, which are easier to meet the requirements, the limitations and the restrictions which are currently in place. So kind of we're planning for the future in terms of the current restrictions. If they change and ease up, we may be able to do more, and we'll again update you as we go along. So that's a brief introduction.
Great. Yeah. So first of all, it's a fantastic day of day trips, activities. The schedule is now up on the website, and you can sign up for each of those activities per day. So most people on this YouTube link will have been signed up for 2 weeks of Summer Machaneh, or even 3.5 weeks of Israel Machaneh, or Machaneh Ari, or various activities like that. These activities you can sign up for per day, and you can use any credit that you have held over from those other summer activities that for now to pay for these. So when you go onto the application form and sign up, let's say you wanted to sign up for the trip to Thorpe Park, you go on, and at the end of the form, once you filled everything out, there'll be an option to pay now if you haven't paid anything yet for Summer Machaneh, or an option to use your credit from what you've already paid, and you won't have to spend anything extra. At the end of the summer, we're then more than happy to give refunds for the balance. If you want to transfer that over to Winter Machaneh, that is possible. If you want to leave it with us for future activities, that would be very, very helpful to us. But with all of our activities, if they can't go ahead as scheduled, Israel Machaneh and Summer Machaneh, a refund is available to you if you need.
Yeah, so we've regards to, like I said, so there are various options which we're kind of, some are more realistic at this stage than others, but lots of them kind of center around obviously going from home or wherever we are to the site where the activity takes place. We've been in touch with our coach provider, who's very excited that people are still interested in that kind of business. They wouldn't presume that anyone was kind of interested in pursuing that line. So and their advice is that they are happy to run coaches if required, with social distancing measures in place, kind of one per row, kind of zigzagged and distance spaced throughout the coach. And according to them, that's well within guidance. So that is a possibility. Obviously, something which that adds into is that the coaches will be much more empty, which potentially will increase costs. But that's something to bear in mind. That's something which we're thinking of. But again, as we said, for the idea of day camps, of reaching places, the idea is perhaps to rely more on parents driving their children to sites, which aren't going to be too far away from central Jewish locations. And so hopefully the timings will work out such that, it's one drop off at the beginning of the day and a pickup at the end of the day, and the activities in between. So those are that's the avenue with coaches, but potentially more reliance on parent rotas for the time being. Again, something which may develop and may update as we go along.
Yeah, I think the main thing is if parents are happy at this current point, we're more than happy to book them. Obviously, it would be quite expensive, but as soon as we're able to put on coaches in a normal capacity, we will put them on. In the meantime, we'll have to rely on parent transport, because we don't have any other options as it stands. So I think just to address some of the questions that we've had so far through, if you have any questions, feel free to just type them in the comments box, and we'll try and answer. So in response to essentially what's going on this summer, this is what it is. If you go to bauk.org/camps, our website, we've put a schedule up there which has every single day trip for every single year group across the whole 2 or 3 weeks of the summer. So you can see for your child's year group exactly what there is each day, and you can sign up for those activities per day for the vast majority of them. Machane Ari will be running as normal in both the London and the Manchester Batim, and they're a week-long program. But apart from that, the day trips and day activities you can sign up for per day. Travel we've just addressed. In terms of the latest date, we'll leave it for residential machanot. We obviously, that it does take a little bit of time to turn everything around and actually put on a residential machane. Obviously, food and transport and sleeping arrangements and various, and the madrachim need time. It's difficult to say because our opinion is we would love to put on residential machane, and we believe that the vast majority of parents and the children would love to have a residential machane. So we're willing to leave it as late as possible. I would say realistically by mid to late July, if the guidelines haven't changed enough to allow us to do something, that might limit us in terms of being able to turn something around that quickly. So I guess that's our that would be a sort of deadline. But for now, we're going ahead with the day trips, and if we can do residential, we'll see what happens. Couple of I'll browse the questions. Do you want to start going through some of the activities?
So, as Adam said, if you visit the website, buk.org/camps, you can see the schedule there. But just to take you through, I guess, kind of an example, a sample of what one year group might have, and the idea being that each year group will have something similar, but at kind of staggered, so each doing similar events, but on different days. So, for example, taking the idea of in year 6, so Aleph Machane, so Monday the 3rd of August, so the starting day. So this would be a day on a site, and we'll come on to the details of the London and Manchester, the potential sites to use. But this is a day kind of in a safe, open space, like a park, but private grounds, which we can keep safe and fence off and make sure that everyone is safe and secure. And on that site, following distancing guidelines and all the other restrictions and hygiene restrictions that we'll have to address, that will be the kind of most like Machane style activities they'll have. They'll be in groups kfutzot with madrachim, and the kfutzot will be able to interact with each other to a degree in tochniot, and that will kind of have the most Machane-like feel to it, as may know it. They'll be able to see each other, even if interaction may be difficult beyond certain groups. But that's the general idea. So that's day one. Then the second day, so Tuesday, 4th of August, a day trip, for example, from London to Thorpe Park. From Manchester, something an equivalent or similar, such as the Chill Factor Snow Park or something like that. Then the next,
I think if we just go over each individual like a block rather than each year group, just say like what.
Okay, fine. Okay, all right. So the idea being that it cycles between days kind of on site and then a day away from site, and then a day back on site, and then a day away from site on a day trip. That's the kind of general idea. The days on site, like I said, there'll be one day which is kind of just regular Machane style, interacting with madrachim, tochniot, pu'alot, the kind of usual anticipated style. Another day will be taking advantage of the activities on the site. So we've been working with very lovely people to provide all kinds of things which have a kind of incredible, unique experience and potential, all to do with various kinds of agriculture and interested in the land and animals, and all kinds of experiences, very hands-on experiences, chalutznik experiences, which are kind of quite true to the history of Bnei Akiva, and really will give a different experience of Machane, but are very much in line with Bnei Akiva's chinuch aims and Machane style. And then another few days out on day trips, and then back to the site for a concluding event, starting later in the day, again, a series of activities, ending with a barbecue, and kind of late on into the night, singing around the campfire, that kind of stuff. So that's the idea. Days on site, followed by day trip, back on site, day trip, with different activities in each place, staggered for the different year groups.
Great. I think we'll answer some. So a couple of people have been asking about year 11, so we will be putting on program. This is for year 11 as well. Obviously, they can't go to Israel, so we are treating year 11 as a normal Machana year, and all of these day trips and day activities are for year 11 as well. In terms of the location, we have the base we have in London. It's a farm about half an hour outside of London. It's near to Hertford. And the address, the full address is when you fill in the application form, the full address is on there. But it's about half an hour from Bournemouth or Edgware, maybe another 10 minutes if you're in Hendon or Golders Green or Hampstead or something or elsewhere. For the Manchester families, we're going to be using the Northern Bight and potentially one other local centre with more field space. If anyone knows of a farm in the nearby area and would like to let us use it, that would be fantastic. In terms of social distancing, all of the activities will be COVID secure and will be with social distancing. Everyone will be, as current guidelines state, everyone will be split into small groups of 6 currently. It could be more by the time we get to Machaneh, but everyone will be split up in different areas, different fields, different sections. If it's on one of the day trips, there will be 1 or 2 madrachim going around with a smaller group of 3, 4 or 5 chanechim, and everyone will be completely separate, and it will be run in a COVID-secure environment. There's a few extra terms and conditions on the application forms that you have to fill in, that you have to agree to ensure that we can run in a COVID-secure way. In terms of the link for signing up, that's on the website, bauk.org/camps, and it goes live tomorrow. It will go live tomorrow. We will send out an email at the end of this to everyone with, first of all, a recap of this video and also all the links again if anyone needs. For Machaneh Ari, they will be at the Bayit. There are scheduled to be day trips. We did run day trips last year. At the moment, we're hoping that can go ahead, but again, it's down to coach transport and what we can work with the parents on to make sure that works. But hopefully we will be able to run day trips as well. And we've got a few more. So a lot of people are asking about transport. Essentially, at the moment, coaches can run at 50% capacity. If people are happy for us to book those coaches, it will cost money, and that money will have to be passed on to the parents, or it will increase the cost of the application. If there is enough people to make that work, we're happy to book the coaches. Also, as the weeks go on, it could be that we are able to book coaches at normal capacity with a normal price. So we're more than happy to do that if the support from the parents is there. Otherwise, at the moment, there's no other option other than parents dropping off. If you have children going to different activities, there will be slightly different times for each different activity. And also, from what we understand at the moment, is you are allowed to do rotas. You're allowed to have 1 or 2 other people in your car with the windows open with ventilation, the air conditioning on, and with people wearing a face mask with the 1 meter plus ruling. So that is what we're working with at the moment. We appreciate that might not work for everyone, but we are doing the best we can. If anyone has any ideas that you think we might have missed, please send us an email and let us know. Will London and Manchester people see each other is all down to what we're allowed to do. So there is one day where everyone is doing exactly the same thing, which is a trip to Alton Towers. Again, that is very much reliant on transport. If there was a group of parents who wanted to also spend a day at Alton Towers and shepherd their children, we appreciate it's a long way and it's a long distance, but Manchester and London children will all be going on the same day. Hopefully we'll be able to provide coach transport for that, but that will be the one day where Manchester and London children will be able to see each other. And in terms of will the children be in the same bubble of 6 throughout the whole 2 weeks, we'll need to look at the guidance. Definitely for one day you will be in the same bubble. There's not much we can do about that at the moment. Over the 2 weeks we'll have to respond to whatever the updated guidance is. It could be that you have to be in the same bubble for 2 weeks, and we'll liaise with parents before it actually goes ahead. Much like we do with sleeping arrangements on camp, we'll ask people for 2 friend choices or whatever it might be, and we'll try and make sure everyone is in a bubble that they are happy with. just to clarify again, so there is no residential camp at the moment, and we're going ahead with these day trips. If residential camp becomes possible at any point in the next month or so, we will look to put something on at the last minute. And as Rafi said at the beginning, some of the sites who are government run have indicated to us that it might be possible for them to host residentials. So we're working on that on a daily basis. And if it can go ahead, we will do something, and they will supersede these day trips. All right. So again, you can sign up per day. You don't need to commit to the whole 2 weeks. You can sign up per day. And I think we've discussed most of the questions. If you have any more questions, keep them coming. There's quite a lot I'm trying to read as we go. Will the Madrachim receive full training in terms of COVID matters? Yes, there will be a pre-camp, very much like a normal pre-camp, just not in a field in Wales. And so the Madrachim will be given training. We'll have plenty of PPE equipment, hand sanitizers, first aid equipment, etc. We're working closely with partners with the UJIA, with various other organizations, to make sure that our Madrachim will get the training that they need in the weeks prior to the activities actually going ahead. Lots of questions. So a question here, an important question from Toby Cohen, says, what happens if someone gets symptoms during the camp? So on the terms and conditions now on the application form, there are 3 tick boxes you have to tick. One is that you, if your child has been ill at all, anytime recently, you do not send them to camp. Number 2 is if your child becomes ill at any point during the day, they will be removed from the group, quarantined, and you will have to come and pick them up straight away. That is something that we have to be quite strict about. So if any child becomes ill during the day, they will be quarantined alone, away from the rest of the group, and you will have to come and pick them up straight away. Likewise, if your child has had symptoms beforehand, we would encourage you not to send them. So those are all things that we're going to have to be strict about this year. The third term and condition that you'll have to agree to is that if any children are not listening to the Madrachim when it comes to COVID secure guidelines, if they're not respecting social distancing, if they're not wearing face masks when they need to, they will also be removed from the group, and you will have to pick them up straight away as well. Obviously, we have to be a little bit stricter than we would normally be, given the state of the pandemic. And so those are just things that we all have to adjust to and appreciate on an ongoing basis. Yes, so an important question about what would happen if you sign up for the day trips and then a residential becomes possible. Again, our thoughts are that a residential trumps these day activities and is what most people would prefer. So it would supersede the day activities. Any financial implications, if you've used your summer credit to pay for the day trips, there'll be no change. You'll be given the choice if you want to come on the residential machaneh. It will be up to you again. You'll get the opportunity either to go on the residential or get a refund. If you signed up for the day trips and you have paid money for them and you now don't want to go on a residential, you will get a refund for those day trips if they don't go ahead. And likewise, if you paid for the day trips, you want to go on the residential, but it doesn't cover the full amount, you'll just need to make up that amount of money to go on the residential. So we want to be as flexible as we can for you. We know it's very challenging for parents to plan the summer coming up once the school term ends. It's difficult for all, so we want to be as flexible as we can. Essentially, if you have money in the system, it will be there. You can do what you like with it, and we have offered refunds to everyone should you want, and that refund will apply all the way through the summer. So there is no punishment for waiting. If you wait all the way through until the middle of August and then decide that nothing's going ahead, so you'd like a refund, you can ask for the refund then. That's no problem whatsoever. Yes, so in terms of a location for the residential, the sites that we would look to use would be the sites that we were planning on using for Aleph Chalutzi and Bet Base this year, which are all in the sort of Staffordshire Lower Peak District area. So it's about 2 to 2.5 hours from London and about 1 to 1.5 hours from Manchester. So that's the locations. In terms of a question here from the Ginsbergs about how late you can leave it for booking, certain activities have restrictions on the amount of people that we can have. The vast majority of them, we've tried to make it so that there are no restrictions on size, and we're very, very fortunate that we have a fantastic and dedicated group of madrachim, so we should be able to take as many people as possible. We encourage you to book as soon as possible so that we can plan and we can make sure that everything is in place. And also for those where we are limited for size, we encourage you to book as soon as possible. But it should be the case that for most of the activities, we can be flexible. As an example, a trip to Go Ape, which is one of the things on the schedule for all the year groups, we can always add more groups onto there, and we're working with Go Ape to try and find a good schedule that we can have a lot of flexibility with. If we were inundated with 500 children who wanted to Go Ape, that might cause some problems, but we should have enough space per year group for each child. And in terms of deadline dates, essentially the day trips are what we are going with now. That is what is happening under the current guidelines. That's what we're able to do. So there's no I guess, date on a deadline for residential machaneh, because as it stands, it can't happen. And the day trips are what is happening, and booking opens tomorrow. So that is the date that we're working with. And as I say, mid to late July will probably be the sort of the deadline as to where we can safely turn around a machaneh for August. We are looking at the first 2 weeks of August as the main dates, just to keep it as normal to as close to a normal year as possible. So if families wanted to go on their holiday, if you are going on a holiday, maybe a holiday in the UK, the last 2 weeks of August will be completely free. If there's huge interest in doing some more day camps over the last 2 weeks of August, send us an email and we'll see if we can put something on as well. So an interesting question from Rebecca Corney in terms of if one child gets ill in the bubble, do the rest of the group have to isolate? It will be down to whatever the current guidelines say at the time. So that is one of the risks at the moment. If it would be the case that if one person became ill and had coronavirus, those children would also, the rest of the bubble would also have to isolate. But we'll work with the guidelines and we'll work with whatever the government and the whatever the science is saying at the time. We will go with the science and what the government tell us. Right. Any other thoughts from Rafi?
You are saying a remarkable.
All right, well, keep the questions coming. We're happy to stay here and answer questions as long as we can. Here we go. When will you know if we're able to put coaches on for the trips and what the cost will be? So we can book a coach today. That's no problem. The coaches can run, but they can only run at 50% capacity. So as a rough example, a normal coach, let's use London as an example, a normal coach journey of about 45 minutes or so will normally cost around £400 or £500 for a 50-seater. If 25 people on that coach, it changes from £10 a person to £20 a person. If that's something that people are willing to pay, if parents are willing to pay that, we can book, we can put the coaches on, and it will all depend on I guess numbers of children who sign up and whether the families want to do that or whether they costs. As soon as the guidelines change, and if we are able to put on coaches at maximum capacity for obviously the cheaper amount, again we'll let parents know and we'll give everyone the option. We still have 5 weeks, I think 5 weeks until the summer, so things may change between now and then. And a coach is something that can very easily be put on. Our coach provider said that in the last 3 months, he's had 1 phone call. So he is very much hoping that we can put something on for him, because he's getting quite upset about his predicament. But we have that flexibility to put it on as and when needed, if you as parents are happy. So again, if you would like coach transport, please get in touch and let us know. Lots of thank yous. So thank you very much for all the thank yous. Definitely to the Mazkirat. I think the Mazkirat have been fantastic, especially with those who enjoyed Machane Aviv on social media. That was a fantastic initiative. And check out all the, your children should be checking out all the social media stuff for all the latest from the Mazkirat. There's lots going on.
Just on that note of social media, obviously we've loved on whenever we can over Machanot in the past to share as much as possible with photos and social media updates and posts and emails home and the like. And so there'll be a few opportunities to join in, I guess, with that spirit from home. So we hope to do some Machane style Kabbalat Shabbats during those weeks, and Havdalahs as well. Hopefully it will be a nice way to bring the communities together. Obviously it's not going to be the same, and it's not going to be in person, but it's still something of that spirit hopefully can be salvaged.
Great. I think so. To sum up, overall, for every single year group, so I guess we should talk about Machane Ari maybe. Yeah. So we have a special, Machane Ari ran last year for the first time for children in years 3 to year 6. It was a fantastic success last summer. We had a great time. So we were planning on running it again this summer. Fortunately, it's a very easy thing to make COVID secure compared to a residential Machane. So it will be going ahead as normal in the Manchester and the London Batim for years 3 to year 5 this year. Machane Ari will be running. We have added in an additional week, the last week of July, which is going to be just for key worker families. If anyone is interested in that, let us know, because we know it might be a challenge for key worker families going from the end of the school term straight into having to look after your children 24/7. So there will be a key worker Machane Ari in the last week of July for all those who are interested. And then Machane Ari will run as normal in the London and Manchester Batim for the first week of August. For those in those year groups, we're also putting on in the second week of August a day of volunteering and a teal. That's a free activity. Some of those days for all the year groups are free, where we'll take them on a teal somewhere in the countryside, ideally in the water if the weather's nice, and also arrange some volunteering alongside Gift or United Synagogue, or if any of our parents have any suggestions, have any charities close to their heart who are looking for volunteers during that time, please reach out to us, get in touch. We're happy to send some dedicated madrichim and enthusiastic chanechim over to those charities. So that's for year 3 to year 5. For all the other year groups, the first 2 weeks of August, every single day, there are options that you can sign up for per day. Some of those, as Rafi explained, are day trips and outings. Some of those are more Machane style days, recreating Machane in a field, in an open space, somewhere with Tochniot, Kfutzot, Chug, all of your favorite Machane activities. And we're very grateful to the Belson family in London who have allowed us use of their farm in London. So we'll have some agriculture in there and collecting chicken eggs, grooming horses. They have a fully functioning blacksmith's forge there, and they're going to give us some demonstrations of that. So that looks like it's going to be a really, really fantastic day. And finishing there as well with a bonfire and barbecue under the stars, which will be really, really nice. I'll just refresh my page to see if there have been any more questions. But essentially, that's where we are. The day trips are what we're planning towards. Residential Machane is something we would love to be able to do, and we'll keep you updated if anything changes on that front. Over the next, I assume the next week or two, we'll have a clearer idea if that's possible. Anna Firestone asks, can children of non-key workers go to Machane in the first week if we aren't at capacity? If we're not at capacity, yeah, no problem. We can open that up to non-key workers. That's no problem. The more the merrier, as long as it's COVID secure. Yes, Michael Rosenfeld has asked, will there be any Shabbat-themed things during the summer? You want to talk about Kabbalat Shabbat and Havdalah?
I did mention before, yeah. Obviously, they're limited when we can't go away and we can't create our own Shabbat community and environment. And unfortunately, it's not something that we can recreate so easily outside of residential, but as has been done kind of throughout the communities online as a lovely way to connect people, to bring Shabbat in together and to leave Shabbat together. So that's very much something we plan on doing, whether the format is kind of something per year group with Madrachim leading the service that they recognize, or kind of all year groups coming together in one large religious Zionistic B'nai Akiva style Kabbalat Shabbat and Havdalah. That's kind of, those are the options available to us at the moment. So we definitely hope, regardless of what goes on, to run those for the Chanachim, obviously, and for the parents and the community in general. And that's something which has been enjoyed in other communities and when we do it as well. So we definitely we know we'll be aiming for that.
Great. Yes, so I think just Mr. Quartz points out some statistics about COVID-19. I think overall, the main thing from our point of view is we want to be able to run something that is COVID secure and where your children will be safe and happy. That's the number one priority. So as I said, there are these extra terms and conditions that we will need to be very strict on those. Likewise, if anything does change, if there's a new spike in the UK and coronavirus cases increase and the guidelines change, or anything looks like we might not be able to run this in a safe and secure environment, there may be last minute changes. So we're all working with the guidance and hoping that things work out well. Obviously, everything is completely open to change because we want to make sure that we can run this in a safe environment. From a financial point of view, we'll make sure that everyone is able to get a refund or put that money towards something else if it were to be cancelled. And bear that in mind as well, that any, if you are sending your child, everything will be done to the guidelines. But of course, if we're interacting in open space, in public spaces, going to public places like Alton Towers and Thorpe Park, we will have plenty of PPE equipment and hand sanitizer, things like that. But please make sure you send your child as prepared as possible with their own hand sanitizers, their own PPE equipment. And if you have any concerns at all, and if you're concerned that your child might be ill, don't send them. I think that's a message we want to get across, that we want, as much as we all want to have a great time over the summer and run lots of activities, we have to make sure that everyone is safe and happy. Yes, food, yes. So for pretty much all of the events and activities, you'll have to bring a packed lunch. That has to obviously be kosher, strictly kosher, and no nuts and no sesame. There is one event in London, and hopefully we can replicate it in Manchester if you find the right space. But in London, one evening we're putting on a barbecue on the farm under the stars with a bonfire. So we will provide the dinner for that, and that's why the third day of the day camps is slightly more expensive than the others, because there will be a barbecue dinner provided. But apart from that, you'll have to bring your own packed lunches, and please make sure it's kosher and nut and sesame free, and avoiding as many allergies as possible.
And also with the understanding that, from the hygiene perspective, if nothing else, packed lunches shouldn't be shared or swapped or anything else.
As tempting as it might be for an 11-year-old. Okay, I think we'll hang out here for another minute or two. So if anyone has any more questions, feel free to type them. Otherwise, have a great evening. We look forward to seeing you soon. The bookings will open tomorrow. So bauk.org/camps. We'll send out another email tomorrow morning with this video, the recording of this video, so everyone can sit and enjoy mine and Rafi's company for another hour or so. And we'll put all the links in there for the booking. If you have any questions, you can email camps@bauk.org or info@bauk.org. And we hope to see you soon.
And thank you again for your patience, understanding, and support. It really it makes what's not such an easy situation so much better to work with, knowing that we've got such a wonderful and supportive community to provide for. So thank you. Thanks for all of
that. So in response to Tanya Siegler's question, any possibility of a Machaneh day at a central location for Manchester and London Chanachim to meet? I think that's something we can look into for sure. Yeah, it's not on the schedule at the moment just because we don't have the site for that yet. But if some of our residential sites become available, which are relatively central, we can definitely look at adding that if we're not able to do something residential. We'll let you know if we can. A D-Day for deciding residential camps. Deadline day. There's no official deadline for us. We want it to happen, but realistically, in order for us to turn something around quick enough with enough preparation, we think mid to late July. The deadline. So a clarification from Eve Sachs says, just to clarify, if the residential in the UK does go ahead, is it for all year groups? So yes, we would. We're treating year 11 as a normal Machaneh year. So if we are able to run something residential, we would look to do that for all year groups from year 6 all the way up to year 11. We don't know exactly what it will look like. It could be that we're limited with capacity and space, and therefore we have reduced numbers. So instead of being able to put on a 2-week Machaneh, we might be able to put on a 3 or 4 day Machaneh for a block of year groups as we go along. But we're treating year 11 as the same as all the other year groups. Also, one thought for anyone, if we have any more parents of year 11 children here, traditionally there's been no year 11 winter Machaneh. One suggestion from a parent was that we introduce that this winter because of the children will be missing out on their summer residential. So to add a year 11, a year 10 who were going to South Africa. So this winter they would be in year 11 and wouldn't have had a residential. We're more than happy to put that on if there's interest in that. So if you are the parent of a current year 10 going into year 11 and you think you might be interested in a residential this winter, let us know and we're more than happy to look into that and see if we can put something on. People still watching.
They like our company on a Sunday afternoon.
Absolutely. Yeah, a good point from you. Depends on mock exams. So yeah, that's something that we're keeping a close eye on, and hopefully we'll see what happens there. It will impact a lot of things. Israel Machaneh next year and various other things. So we're keeping a close eye on the school calendar, and hopefully. There you go. We'll see what we can do. Apparently mocks are excellent. It's good news. Down to 69 viewers. 64. Residential would be great, but we need to hear from them. Yeah.
Should we leave that there? Yeah. Just say so. Thank you again to everyone who tuned in to watch. There'll be an email going out tomorrow to again let everyone know that the sign up goes live, and to hopefully bring a little FAQ, some of the more standout answers and a few of the facts from this also in the email, plus the recording for those who missed it or want to watch it through again. So thank you for your patience and understanding. And like Adam said, any other questions, camps@bauk.org or info@bauk.org, and we'll do our best to get back to you. thank you so much for joining us.
President Campbell, with you for letting me know you that. Great. Straight and